Welcome to Luvitex Engineering, where innovation sparks progress and manufacturing shapes tomorrow.
Today, we're uncovering the operational secrets behind the modern global economy. We're going to look at exactly how the biggest brands in the world pull off this crazy balancing act between extreme operational efficiency and catastrophic fragility. It's a fascinating tightrope walk that affects almost everything we buy. Here's our roadmap for today. First, the rise of JIT. Then, the core principles of lean. After that, we'll look at some massive wins with Dell and Nike, what happens when perfect timing fails, and finally, the new hybrid supply chain. So let's start with a pretty provocative question. How do these massive titans of industry rake in billions of dollars in revenue while keeping incredibly low physical inventory? It kind of seems counterintuitive, right? Well, the answer involves a total reimagining of how things are actually made and stored. And that answer is just-in-time, or JIT manufacturing. Basically, it's an inventory strategy where materials are ordered and received exactly when they're needed in the production process. The goal? Completely minimize waste. It was pioneered by Taiichi Ohno at Toyota back in the 1960s to deal with severe resource constraints, and it literally shifted the entire paradigm of modern production. All right, Section 1, the rise of JIT. To really grasp why this concept was such a game changer, we need to take a quick step back and look at how things were traditionally made before JIT came onto the scene. Think of a traditional push system like a massive buffet restaurant. You took everything in advance based on a forecast, basically a guess of what you think people will eat, and you just push it out to the floor. But JIT, it's a pull system. It acts way more like a high-end made-to-order kitchen. It responds only to actual demand, producing goods only when a customer signal literally pulls that product through the line. No excess, no cold food sitting on the buffet, just exactly what you need when you need it. Now, this brilliant philosophy didn't just stay confined to Japan. It evolved. It started in the automotive sector with the Toyota production system in the 60s. Then it completely transformed tech and e-commerce with Dell in the 90s, and went on to revolutionize global apparel with Nike by 2008. But, and this is a big but, as we're going to see later, this exact same system hit an absolute brick wall during the global disruptions of the 2020s. Moving on to Section 2, core principles of lean. So what are the actual nuts and bolts that make this highly efficient, made-to-order system work on such a massive global scale? The absolute core of lean thinking is aggressively eliminating muda, which is the Japanese term for waste. And there are 7 specific non-value-adding wastes they look for: overproduction, waiting time, unnecessary transportation, overprocessing, excess inventory tying up your capital, wasted human motion, and of course defects. Basically, if a step doesn't add value to the final product, it is ruthlessly cut out, no exceptions. To eliminate all that waste, factories use really clever tools like Kanban. These are visual signal cards used to trigger production steps. They ensure materials arrive exactly when the next workstation actually demands them. It's essentially a highly visual scheduling system that tells a company what to produce, when to produce it, and exactly how much to produce. It paces the whole shebang perfectly to actual customer demand. And you pair Kanban with Jidoka, also known as automation. This is basically automation with a human touch. Machines are designed to detect abnormalities and stop automatically. But even cooler, it empowers human workers to instantly halt the entire assembly line at the very first sign of an error. This is crucial because it ensures quality is built right at the source, rather than just trying to weed out defects at the very end of the line. All right, Section 3, massive wins with Dell and Nike. Let's move from theory to reality here. It's one thing to talk about visual cards and stopping assembly lines, but let's look at how this system propelled 2 massive companies to just unbelievable operational success. But real quick, before we dive into Dell and Nike, listen to this quote from Toyota's honorary chairman, Fujio Cho. He says, "It must be practiced every day in a very consistent manner, not in spurts, in a concrete way on the shop floor." I love this because it brilliantly illustrates a key point. The success of JIT relies entirely on extreme daily consistency, absolute cultural buy-in, and relentless discipline. So let's see how that discipline builds incredible results. 80%. Back in the 1990s, Dell leveraged JIT alongside a really unique buy direct strategy. By meticulously learning customer buying patterns, they achieved a jaw-dropping forecast accuracy of over 80%. This meant they could alert component suppliers and build custom computers only after a customer actually paid. Talk about a cash-rich company. And here's another staggering number for you: 50%. Prior to 2008, Nike's outsourced production network was really struggling with poor quality and a bunch of labor controversies. But when Nike rolled out lean manufacturing, they shifted their mindset. They started empowering their workers to solve problems directly on the line. The result? A massive 50% drop in defect rates. Just incredible. And Nike's lean transformation didn't just fix those defects. Delivery times improved by a massive 40%. Floor productivity rose by up to 15%. And perhaps the biggest win of all, treating workers as core problem solvers rather than just line item costs drastically improved working conditions, with serious labor violations dropping by 15%. It is absolute proof that ethical compliance and extreme efficiency can for sure go hand in hand. Which brings us to Section 4, when perfect timing fails. Now, I know JIT sounds like a superhero concept that saves millions and empowers workers, right? But to give you the full picture in this explainer, we really have to pivot and look at its terrifying downside. Because JIT relies on zero safety stock and perfectly timed deliveries, the most urgent question becomes this: what happens to a highly tuned JIT system when a critical supplier fails or transportation suddenly just freezes? Well, without a safety net, JIT's extreme fragility is totally exposed. Take 1997. A fire at ASIN, which was Toyota's sole supplier for a specific valve, halted production and cost the company over 160 billion yen in revenue. Or think about the COVID-19 pandemic. It caused global factory shutdowns and weeks of unfilled orders simply because nobody had backup stock. And then, remember the 2021 Suez Canal blockage? That held up thousands of containers, instantly freezing JIT lines worldwide. The takeaway here is that when the timing is off even slightly, the entire system can completely collapse. And that leads us to our final section, Section 5, the new hybrid supply chain. The absolute paralysis caused by these types of global events forced a major evolution in how the world's top manufacturers manage risk today. Instead of relying on a fragile, pure JIT model, which, yes, offers maximum efficiency, but is highly vulnerable to disruption, modern manufacturers are now adopting a hybrid JIT approach. This new model blends the aggressive cost savings and lean efficiency of traditional JIT with a just-in-case survival mentality, adding in strategic safety buffers. To protect themselves today without losing their competitive edge, companies are taking 3 highly actionable steps. First, they're maintaining micro-safety stocks, basically keeping tiny, targeted reserves of just the most critical components. Second, they're implementing dual sourcing, which means they use multiple suppliers instead of putting all their eggs in one basket. And third, they're deploying predictive analytics to actually forecast disruptions before they even hit. Now, this new hybrid resilience is completely powered by modern tech. We're talking enterprise resource planning systems, AI-driven demand forecasting, Internet of Things sensors right on the factory floor, and automated robotics. All these tools act as an advanced early warning system. They allow algorithms to adjust procurement schedules dynamically, often way before a human even realizes there's a delay on the horizon. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a final thought to chew on. Lean principles absolutely revolutionized how we make everything from laptops to sneakers. But we've seen that extreme efficiency comes with extreme risk. So ask yourself, in an increasingly unpredictable world, are the systems you rely on optimized only for perfect weather, or do they have the resilience to survive the inevitable chaos of the real world?
Thank you for watching Luvitex Engineering. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to keep inspiring the future of manufacturing together.